Parents, when your child is reading to you, do you ever find that they just clam up and they don't want to even attempt to sound out the word? Stick with me because I'm continuing my series today on how to help your struggling reader at home. And we're talking all about how to help your child learn to sound out words. Usually, a parent who comes to me saying that they can't get their child to sound out words, they are referring to more of the second or third grade level words that have lots of syllables in them, and they don't know how to make it very far into the word and tackle that word and sound it out. So that's what we are talking about today. Before we get started, make sure you click like and subscribe so you can be notified each time I upload a video for your child's learning. Now, if you go to the description below, you'll see my 5 quick tips to immediately help your struggling reader. And those are things that you can do today that will show a difference in your child's reading. So be sure to check that out. You can teach your child as many reading rules as possible, and you will still come across exceptions. So one idea I like to try on teaching my child to sound out words is to let them know that it's okay to try the word and get it wrong. So if you're reading a word with your child and your child doesn't know all the different letter combinations and the sounds, if they can at least make the sounds and make them come together, if it doesn't make sense, read it in the sentence and see if you can figure it out. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't, but many times that you can, especially if you focus on what the consonant sounds are. Yes, I know there are some consonants that are silent at times, but for the most part, you can figure out what the word is by looking at the consonant sounds. Stick with what you know, and you can probably figure out the word. In order for this strategy to happen, the child must know that whatever they're reading in the story or the sentence has got to make sense. So they have to be thinking about what they are reading aloud as they're reading it. So you can stop and say, does that make sense? Some tricks that I've even tried with this method is to read the sentence back exactly as the child said it, even with the word pronounced incorrectly. And usually their brain is able to fix it. Another idea that you can try is to teach your child to see words in chunks or groupings of letters. So I find that with multisyllable words, if a child can get through the first 3 or 4 letters, that will carry them through the first syllable of the word. And if they can get through the first syllable of the word, they're thinking about what they're reading in context, they can usually figure out the word. If they get close to the word, but not quite, I may encourage them to look at the ending as well. That being said, another way you can look at word chunks is to teach your child some of the common suffixes like ing, ly, ed, which has several sounds by the way, and even es or s at the end of the word. If they can see that there are those chunks and they can look ahead, then they can eliminate the chunk, cover it with their thumb, and look only at the base word. Figure out that base word and then add the ending suffix back on. You also want to teach your child about the sounds of certain letter combinations. They might be called digraphs, they might be called vowel teams, things that have a certain rule they usually follow, but not always. There's always exceptions in the English language. But one thing I tried with my child as he was going from kindergarten reading into first grade reading and second grade reading. So I just printed out a chart that I found online and had picture cues for the different letter sounds. So for example, on the ow sound, it had a picture of a mouse and a picture of an owl, so that my child could learn that OU and OW both say ow. If we encountered a word that had several vowels together and he couldn't remember how to sound it out and he was stumped, I would just say, what does OU say? And he can think back to that picture. Or I had the laminated page right beside me so that he could look at. And it didn't really take very long before he was memorizing these because he had a picture cue to help him. Now, there are different curriculums and workbooks out there that parents can try to teach their child these vowel teams. I've also taken some of these picture cues for these different letter combinations and made them on index cards and laminated them just so that we could quickly review them here and there. Much of the time, these vowel teams are found in the middle of the word. And so children can get the beginning and they can get the end, but the middle is a little bit hazy. So just memorizing these and what sounds they usually make can really help out your child. And it's okay sometimes when you don't have an explanation. It's okay to tell your child, sometimes words don't fit all the rules, or that might be a rule breaker. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe there's a rule and you as the parent just don't know that rule yet. It's okay to just not tackle that at the time and say, well, in this case, it says this. And you'd be surprised at how much your child can catch on. The last thing you can try with your child to help them sound out words is to teach them the rules of syllable division. Now, this is something that I was never taught in school. I was unaware of this until I started tutoring dyslexic students using the Wilson reading program. You can also find some of these rules on different websites online and in different instruction manuals that will teach you the rules for syllable division or the types of syllables. And you've probably never thought about this before, but let me just give you an example. Let's think about the word table, T-A-B-L-E. In this word, there are two syllables, te and bull. If you look at the last syllable, B-L-E, that's called a consonant L-E syllable. And in consonant L-E syllables, you have the consonant, which is the B, the L, and the E. Since the B is grouped with the L and E in the word table, then your first syllable is T-A, te. And since the A is there on the end by itself, it is an open syllable. And open syllables have this rule that they make their long vowel sound. So that is why it is table. Let's think about another one. What about rubble? So in the word rubble, you also have a consonant L-E syllable at the end, which happens to be B-L-E. But why do you have that other B there? And you have the first syllable is rub, R-U-B. Because if you didn't have that other B grouped with the R and the U, that U would be open and it would say the oo sound. But since it has that added B in there, it closes in the U, and that makes the U say its short sound. And that's how it's rubble. And how table has a long vowel sound. That's just one example. There are many more. So I encourage you to look into a program that would teach your child the rules of syllable division or the types of syllables. Another thing you can try when your child is stumped on a word is giving them on a Post-it note, just sticking it in the book, give them a word that looks just like it. Maybe it's a rhyming word with a similar spelling, and see, well, do you know this word? So for example, let's say they come across the word dew, and they may not say the word dew as in the water on the grass in the morning, D-E-W. They may not say that word a lot in their vocabulary, and they're reading it in a book. Maybe they haven't even heard of that word before. But they might have the word new memorized. Maybe it's a sight word, and they've already memorized it. The Post-it note does not damage the book, and they have that Post-it note to remind them when they go back and they reread the book independently. Now, all of this information I've shared with you today is quite a bit. From each of these ideas, you will have to dig in a bit deeper. I could have made the video much longer, but this gives you a starting point on what you might want to try and research to help your child learn how to sound out words. Remember to check out my 5 quick tips to immediately help your struggling reader. That has ideas that you can use today. And if you use them consistently, I promise you will see a difference in your child's reading in the next month or 2. And check out some of the other videos on my channel. I have tons of videos that would be in that 1st and 2nd grade age range that can really help your child get over a hump in their learning and build their confidence. Share this video with a friend. Don't forget to check out the Parent Teacher Bridge on Facebook and Instagram. Remember, you are your child's most influential teacher.